Good morning and welcome to the meeting of the Subcommittee on Zoning and Franchises. I'm Councilmember Francisco Moya, the chairperson of the subcommittee, and today we have been joined by Councilmember Levin, and we also have Councilmember Traeger here. Our hearing today will begin with pre-considered LUs for the 273 Avenue U rezoning in Councilmember Traeger's district in Brooklyn. The applicant seeks approval for a zoning map amendment and related zoning text amendment to rezone the project area from a R5B to an R6A district and establish a mandatory inclusionary housing area utilizing MIH Option 1 and Option 2. As proposed, these actions would facilitate the development of a new 4-story mixed-use building with ground floor residential use and approximately 9 dwelling units. I now open the public hearing on this application. You may begin.
The application that we filed for rezoning was to hop the street, so to speak. There currently is an existing R6 C2-3 zone, which is on the east side of McDonald Avenue. And this application was put in to allow us to extend the R6 zone across the street, across McDonald Avenue, in order to allow Mr. Chadamitato and others to advance the ability to build something a little bit more appropriate for the neighborhood. We did have approval through the City Planning Commission, the Borough President. At this point, we're just requesting that you do the same. And we appreciate your help and effort.
Thank you. Can you describe your plans to ensure MWBE and local-based contractors and subcontractors participate in this development project?
It basically will be an open bid, and primarily it would be geared towards contractors or providers who are locally sourced.
Great.
We're looking to try and be as sensitive to the community as possible. After all, we've been there for over 60 years.
So thank you for that. I'm going to turn it over now to Councilmember Traeger for questions.
Thank you, Chair Moya. So the application, this application maps MIH Option 2, but the development does not meet the threshold to require affordability through MIH. Can you confirm the total amount of zoning square feet in the proposed developments?
I believe it was about 14,000 square feet.
Today we will vote to approve LU 469 for the 38-01 23rd Avenue rezoning in Queens. The proposal would establish within an existing R5B district a C23 commercial overlay district to allow the applicant to seek a special permit for physical culture establishment use from the Board of Standards and Appeals for the purpose of legalizing an existing gym and yoga studio, as well as to allow future use consistent with the proposed C2 district regulations. I note the original proposal was modified by the City Planning Commission to remove from the rezoning area the portion of the proposed C23 overlay beyond 100 feet north of 23rd Avenue and within 75 feet of Steinway Street. Councilmember Constantinides is in support of this application. We will also vote to approve LU 470 for the 76th Drive and Austin Street rezoning in Queens. The proposal would rezone the existing R2 zone district in the neighborhood of Forest Hills as an R32 district and would facilitate the legalization and expansion of use group 4 medical offices within existing buildings in the rezoning area. Councilmember Kozlowitz is in support of this application. I now call for a vote to approve LUs 469 and 470. Council, please call the roll.
Chair Moya.
Aye.
Councilmember Levin.
Aye.
Councilmember Richards.
Aye.
Councilmember Rivera.
Aye.
By a vote of 4 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and no abstentions, the items are approved and referred to the full Land Use Committee.
Please note that we will be laying over LU 466. And this concludes today's meeting. I would like to thank the members of the public, my colleagues, council, and land use staff for attending. This meeting is hereby adjourned.
Good afternoon. Welcome to this meeting of the Subcommittee on Landmarks, Public Siting, and Maritime Uses. I'm Councilmember Adrienne Adams, the chair of this subcommittee. Today, we will hold a public hearing on the 202-207 7th Avenue project and a vote on the applications related to the 784 Cortlandt Avenue project. The 201 through 207 7th Avenue project consists of two applications submitted by the New York City Department of Housing Preservation and Development, both of which we are hearing pre-considered to facilitate a mixed-use development containing approximately 26 affordable residential units and commercial space in the Speaker's District in Manhattan. Application number C 190-253-HAM requests the designation of an urban development action area for property located at 201-207 7th Avenue, Block 797, Lots 80, 81, 82, and 83, and an urban development action area project for such area pursuant to Article 16 of the General Municipal Law and pursuant to Section 197-C of the New York City Charter, approval of the disposition of such property to a developer selected by HPD. Application number 201-95731-HAM, submitted by HPD pursuant to Section 577 of Article 11 of the Private Housing Finance Law, requests approval of a real property tax exemption for such property. I will now call for a vote to approve LUs 467 and 468. Council, please call the roll.
Adams.
I vote aye.
Barron.
I vote aye.
Traeger.
Aye.
By a vote of 3 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and with 0 abstentions, the items are approved for forwarding to the full Land Use Committee, and the vote is held open.
Thank you.
In your testimony, you say that the co-op interest attributable to occupied apartments will be sold to the existing tenants. How many tenants are there? And you talked about one that's still to be relocated, but how many tenants are actually still a part of this plan?
We have 5 families associated with this future co-op. 4 of them have been relocated out, and 1 has accepted a relocation unit and is in the process of being relocated out temporarily.
So there are only 5.
There's 5.
So all the rest are going to be new.
21 units are vacant.
So how many units will be constructed in this?
26 total.
26, okay. And
Along those same lines, what is the unit size breakdown for the units that will accommodate the 5 returning tenants?
There are, out of the 5 families, 2 will be relocated into 3-bedroom, or will be returning to 3-bedroom apartments, and 3 will be returning to 2-bedroom apartments.
So essentially, they're going back to the same setup that okay, great. How will the 21 vacant units be marketed?
They'll be marketed through HPD marketing procedures, which requires that the developer prepare a plan and market publicly, advertise in multiple sources, advertise on HPD website, and that they receive applications, randomize those applications. There's only a preference for New York City residents. It's not a community board preference, but it's preference for New York City residents. And we go down the list. After the list is randomized, those that qualify are the first to purchase.
Yeah.
Are there any members of the public who wish to testify on these items? Seeing none, the public hearings on these 2 pre-considered items are now closed and the items are laid over. Our vote on LU 467 and 468 are also closed. This concludes today's business. I'd like to thank the members of the public, my colleagues, council, and land use staff for attending today's hearing. This meeting is hereby adjourned.
Good morning, and welcome to the meeting of the Subcommittee on Zoning and Franchises. I'm Councilmember Francisco Moya, the chair of this subcommittee, and today we are joined by Councilmembers Levin, Richard, and also Councilmember Koo. Today, we will be voting on two proposals heard earlier by the subcommittee. Today, we will vote to approve with modifications LUs number 466 for the 515 West 18th Street Garage Special Permit in Manhattan. The original proposal sought approval for a special permit to allow 180 spaces, attended accessory parking garage within a future as-of-right mixed-use development at 515 West 18th Street, which is in the special West Chelsea district and also within a C62 zoning district. The development would include approximately 181 development units, approximately 18,000 square feet of retail space, and absent the special permit, approximately 41 accessory parking spaces located at the cellar level. I note that the original proposal was modified by the City Planning Commission among other changes, to reduce the total amount of requested spaces from 180 to 110, add new public bicycle parking spaces, and reduce the number of proposed parking stackers. Our modification will reduce the maximum number of permitted spaces to the more appropriate number of 100. The applicants applied certain assumptions in their analysis to establish the projected demand for this facility. However, available data for the surrounding census tracts, such as household size, for example, suggest vehicle ownership rates for the proposed development lower than the projections under the applicant's analysis. Our modification targets a capacity that should meet demand through a more balanced approach. Speaker Johnson is in support of this application as modified by the council. I also want to recognize that we've been joined by Councilmember Reynoso, Councilmember Rivera, and Councilmember Lansman. I want to note that the applications related to the Casena rezoning have been withdrawn, and that we will vote to file LUs 464 and 465. I now call for a vote to approve with modifications LU 466 and to file LUs 464 and 465. Council, please call the roll.
Chair Moya.
Aye on all.
Councilmember Levin.
Aye on all.
Councilmember Richards.
Aye on all.
Councilmember Lansman. Aye. Councilmember Reynoso.
Aye.
Councilmember Rivera.
Aye.
By a vote of 6 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and no abstentions, the items are approved and referred to the full Land Use Committee.
Thank you. This concludes today's meeting, and I would like to thank the members of the public, my colleagues, the council, and land use staff for attending. This meeting is hereby adjourned.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Committee on Land Use. I am Councilmember Rafael Salamanca, chair of this committee. I would like to welcome my esteemed colleagues who are members of the committee and are present today. We have Council Members Gibson, Barron, Kuhl, Lansman, Levin, Miller, Reynoso, Richards, Traeger, Chair Adams, Chair Moya, and Rivera. I want to thank Chair Moya and Chair Adams for their work on our land use subcommittees. Today we will be voting on projects referred out of both of our subcommittees. We will vote to approve LUs 469, the 38-01 23rd Avenue rezoning for property in Councilmember Constantinides' district in Queens. The proposal would establish a C2-3 commercial overlay district within an existing R5B district to allow the applicant to seek a special permit for a physical culture establishment from the Board of Standards and Appeals. This would legalize an existing gym and yoga studio, as well as allow future uses consistent with the proposed C2 district regulations. The original proposal was modified by the City Planning Commission to remove from the rezoning area that portion of the proposed C2-3 overlay beyond 100 feet north of 23rd Avenue within 75 feet of Steinway Street. We will also vote to approve LUs 470, the 76th Drive and Austin Street rezoning for property in Councilmember Kozowitz district in Queens. The proposal would rezone an existing R2 zone district in the neighborhood of Forest Hills as a R3-2 district and would facilitate the legalization and expansion of Use Group 4 medical offices within existing buildings in the rezoning area. We will vote to approve with modifications LUs number 466, the 515 West 18th Street Garage Special Permit application for property in Speaker Johnson's district in Manhattan. The original application was for a special permit to allow 180 space attended accessory parking garage. The new building would include approximately 181 dwelling units and could have approximately 41 accessory parking spaces as of right. The application was modified by the City Planning Commission to reduce the total number of parking spaces from 180 to 110. Our modification will be to further reduce the maximum number of permitted spaces to the more appropriate numbers of 100. The applicants relied upon certain assumptions in establishing the project demand for the parking facility. All available data for the surrounding census tracts, such as household size, may not have been factored in. For example, the vehicle ownership rate for the proposed development may be lower than was projected by the applicants. Based upon this balanced approach, the 100 spaces are expected to be sufficient. We will vote to approve the LUs 467 and 468, the 784 Cortlandt Avenue applications submitted by the Department of Housing and Preservation for property in my district in the Bronx. LUs 467 is an applicant for the Fourth Amendment to the Melrose Commons Urban Renewal Plan. The amendment would remove a 45-foot height restriction applicable to Site 15 of the plan. LUs 468 is for approval of the Urban Development Action Area designation for the property located at 359 East 157th Street and 784 Cortlandt Avenue, and the approval of an Urban Development Action Area project for such area, and pursuant to 197C of the New York City Charter for the disposition of such property to a developer selected by HPD. These applications will facilitate the construction of a 7-story mixed-use building with approximately 20 residential units, all of which will be affordable and will include ground floor retail space, community facility, and a 15% homeless set-aside. LUs 446 and 465 have been withdrawn and will be filed. Are there any questions or remarks from members of the committee? No? All right, seeing none, I will now call for a vote in accordance with the recommendations of the local council members and the subcommittees to approve LUs 467, 468, 469, and 470, and to approve the modifications I have described, LUs 466, and to file LUs 464 and 465. Council, please call the roll.
William Martin, Committee Clerk, roll call vote, Committee on Land Use. All items are coupled. Chair Salamanca.
Aye and no.
Gibson. Barron.
I vote aye.
Koo.
Aye.
Lanceman. Aye. Levin. Aye. Miller.
Aye.
Reynoso. Aye. Richards.
Aye.
Traeger. Aye. Adams. Aye. Moya.
Aye.
Rivera. By a vote of 13 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and no abstentions, all items have been adopted on today's agenda.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience. I am Councilmember Carlina Rivera, Chair of the Committee on Hospitals. Thank you all for being here today. Today, the committee will vote on resolution number 746, sponsored by Councilmember Levin and myself, which calls on the New York State Legislature to pass and the governor to sign legislation requiring the New York State Department of Health to create clear and fair regulations for hospitals on drug testing those who are pregnant or giving birth, including informing patients of their rights before any discussion of drug use or drug testing. While we know that there is no data suggesting that marijuana use is safe during pregnancy, studies have shown that low-income pregnant people and pregnant people who are Black and Latinx are disproportionately tested for drug use. A study from 2007 found that women who are Black and their newborns were 1.5 times more likely to be tested than non-Black women. Not only are these women more likely to be tested, they are also more likely to be reported to child welfare services. Currently, it is unclear how hospitals determine when drug testing is necessary. Health and Hospitals corporate policy, which is not available to the public, outlines risk indicators and criteria for screening and testing at-risk pregnant women and newborns for alcohol abuse and exposure to other drugs during pregnancy. Risk indicators include minimal or no prenatal care, a history of substance abuse or treatment within the previous 3 months, placental abruption, and severe mood swings. This type of discretion allows race, class, and other factors to play a hand in hospital drug testing. We need clear, fair, and transparent regulations in order to keep everyone, especially families and children, safe. We must ensure that drug testing is an equitable process. The New York State Legislature should pass legislation requiring the New York State Department of Health to create clear and fair regulations for hospitals on drug testing, and we should make sure that patients are informed of their rights before any discussion of drug use or drug testing. And so with that, I'm actually going to call the roll for a vote.
Louis Martin, Committee Clerk. Roll call vote, Committee on Hospitals. Resolution 746, Chair Rivera. Aye. Eugene. Aye. Levine.
Aye.
Reynoso.
Very proudly vote aye.
Moya.
Aye.
I vote a 5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and no abstention. Item has been adopted by the committee.
And with that, I thank you all for being here, and we're adjourning this committee meeting.
On Rules, Privileges, and Elections being called to order. Good morning and welcome to the Committee on Rules, Privileges, and Elections. My name is Karen Koslowitz, and I am Chair of the Committee on Rules, Privileges, and Elections. We will consider the nomination by the Mayor of Mr. Jeffrey Roth for appointment as the Chair of the New York City Taxi and Limousine Commission. Should Mr. Roth receive the advice and consent of the Council, he will be eligible to serve for the remainder of a 7-year term that expires on January 31st, 2024. The New York City Taxi and Limousine Commission, known as the TLC, was created pursuant to Local Law 12 of 1971. Chapter 65 of the New York City Charter establishes the TLC with the goal of developing and improving taxi and limousine service in New York City. TLC is responsible for overall transportation policies. The Commission establishes certain rates, standards, and criteria for the licensing of vehicles, drivers, chauffeurs, owners, and operators. The Commission includes 9 members appointed by the Mayor with the advice and consent of the Council. TLC must include at least 1 member from each borough. TLC members are appointed for a term of 7 years and can serve until the appointment and qualification of a successor. The Mayor designates 1 TLC member to act as the Chair and Chief Executive Officer. The Chair has the power to employ, assign, and oversee the officers and employees of the organization. Pursuant to the Charter, the Chair's position is full-time, and the Mayor sets compensation. The Chair currently receives $212,044 annually. No other TLC member receives compensation. All TLC proceedings and all documents and records in its possession are public records. TLC must also submit an annual report to the Council on or before the 2nd Monday of January. I want to welcome Mr. Roth. Do you wish to make an opening statement?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Speaker Johnson and Chair Koslowitz. My name is Jeffrey Roth, and I am honored to be here today as the nominee for Chair and Commissioner of the New York City Taxi and Limousine Commission. I'd also like to thank the members of the Rules Committee and other members of the Council for granting me opportunity to discuss this important role and my qualifications for it. My focus, if appointed, will be to address ways of strengthening the yellow industry to protect drivers that own their medallions who are facing default on their medallion loans. The TLC must have their back through the immediate launch of the Driver Assistance Center and the other recommendations of the 45-day report to the Mayor on efforts to support taxi drivers. We must also find ways to protect our city and its streets from unnecessary congestion, protect driver incomes, leverage data and technology to find methods for improving service efficiencies, deepen connections to diverse communities to improve equity of service across all 5 boroughs, ensure our streets are safe for pedestrians and cyclists, continue to grow our wheelchair-accessible fleet, and underscore zero tolerance for any discriminatory service refusal based on race, ethnicity, gender, or destination not in New York City.
But do you think the city should be in the business of auctioning licenses and profiting off a transfer market?
given what we've seen, given the crisis we've seen in the New York Times investigation? Do you think that's the best model?
I think we have to be very careful in our consideration of whether or not that's the best model for the city to...
But what's your opinion? What's your opinion as potential chair of the TLC?
I don't like the idea of the city making money off of transfers, no.
Good afternoon, Chair. My name is Carolyn Protz. I'm a medallion owner. Am I the only individual medallion owner here?
I'll tell you after.
I got to tell you, when the other 6,000 individual medallion owners hear what went on here today, they're not going to be very happy. I can't believe what I heard here today. You're actually discussing, should we even continue to have a medallion system? A medallion system where you had middle-class people who owned a valuable city franchise that was sold to them by New York City, and you're going to replace them with slave labor that work for a company that lost $14 billion. Uber's going to be gone. Once the shareholders sell out in October, November, they'll be gone, but you're still going to have 135,000 cars out there. You better start thinking about what you want to do about that. I'm sorry the speaker left, because I think he's asking the wrong questions. He's asking, should the yellow medallion segment have been regulated better? That's the wrong question. The correct question is, was the FHV sector regulated properly? And the answer is no. The TLC bent, broke, ignored, and changed rules for the last 9 years, and that's what enabled the multinational corporate predator to take over the business. And Jeffrey Roth was there for part of this time. He was there from October 2014 through May of 2016. During that time, we embarked on the so-called congestion study. That was not just a congestion study. The request for proposal and the outline of what was supposed to be accomplished was to come up with an entirely new roadmap for the entire industry. He was involved in that study. I have a 4,000-page dossier. I'm going to say that again, a 4,000-page dossier that I received through someone who had done a FOIL, all about the so-called congestion study. And that's what is revealed in those pages. And I'm willing to share them with anybody who wants it. For some reason, nobody's asked me to take a look at it. His name is on the emails, correspondence between him, McKinsey & Company, Uber, Lyft. You know, what's going on with that? You need to have another hearing, and you need to ask him about that study and what was revealed in it. Because I think, as the speaker said, we're at a very critical juncture, and we really can't afford to have any more mistakes being made. And there's also something else. You don't have good numbers. Everybody throws around numbers. I'm a medallion owner. I don't know a dime, but I'm going down the tubes with everybody else. There are hundreds, perhaps, actually there are thousands of medallions that don't have any loans against them at all. Somebody who I trust pretty well in this area told me about 20% of medallions don't have any loans against them. Then there's a very large group, people who work the medallions, maybe 200,000, 300,000, which is certainly I'm saying you don't have good numbers, and you're going to make policy, and you don't even know what you're talking about. Okay. I think the city interviewed 300 people. That's not enough.
You have to sum up. There are other people that want to speak.
Look, we've had 9 years of ignorance of the rules.
Your time is up.
Deliberate ignorance of the rules. That's how this happened.
Your time is up.
Thank you.
Seeing no other speakers, this meeting will be recessed
Until the 23rd?
until July 23rd.